Hi friends! Welcome to the channel. I'm Olivia, and if you've never seen my face before, you can consider me your fragrance fairy godmother. So I got a message over on Instagram the other day asking if I could suggest some Parisian Chic perfumes. And honestly, I have seen a lot of different things marketed as Parisian Chic, so I took it to Google to get a firm answer as to what exactly is Parisian Chic. So from what I understood, it's blending elements of more casual fashion with a little bit more formal fashion. Something that has a quiet luxury and elegance about it, but it's not too overstated. And to me, there is nothing more chic than good silk clothing. And that's why I've teamed up with the sponsor of today's video, and that is none other than Lily Silk. So Lily Silk offers some really incredible, really high quality garments, but these are coming in at a much more affordable price point in comparison to other high-end brands. But not only do they carry clothing, but they also carry some really high quality bedding as well. And after all the suffering my hair has endured at the hands of my bleaching, I was in need of a good natural silk pillowcase. So let me show you guys the stuff that I've tried out from Lily Silk so far. First up is this top, and I've actually been not wearing it in videos so that way I could keep it special for today, but look how cute this is. Let me tell you, this top is so breathable and so comfortable. But this is the type of top I'm looking for, something that's going to have a lot of versatility because you can dress it up with some slacks and a good dress jacket, or you can do what I'm doing today and you can dress it down a little bit with some fun 70s funky pants and a little chunky tennis shoe. But because this is more of a knit sheer style, I like to pair it with their silk bra, which I have in black and lavender. And I will be the first to admit that I don't like bras. I don't like them whatsoever, but these ones don't have an underwire, they have removable padding, and they also have thick straps on top and on the body, so that way they don't give you that infamous back roll. You know what I'm talking about. And I've been going to a lot more formal perfume events lately, so I got this long sleeve blouse for the times I'm trying to be a little bit more dressy. But once again, this is one of those pieces that you can easily dress up or dress down and is going to be a good quality staple in your collection. But of course, my favorite out of everything that I tried was my pink silk pillowcase. Natural silk is antibacterial and low friction, so not only is it helping my skin, but it's helping my hair not be a bird's nest in the morning. Those of you with frizzy hair will understand me already, but if you need better proof, go look at my last video and look at my hair in this video. Proof enough. And because sustainability and waste reduction is important, their items are shipped in these minimalistic envelopes instead of big bulky packaging. Unless you plan on getting them as a gift, in which case they come in this gift wrapping. And these do make really good gifts, so whether you're looking for a gift for someone else or you're looking for a little something for yourself, Lily Silk has hooked us up with a little discount code that I'll put in the description box down below, as well as the pieces that I'm wearing today and more information about the brand. I want to say a big thank you to Lily Silk for sponsoring this portion of today's video, and without further ado, let's get into the Parisian Chic perfumes. So first up on the list is Vetiver and Bloom by Scents of Wood. Now this is going to be a very clean, very sheer, almost a little bit sweet and musky floral fragrance, but what makes this unique and my favorite from the entirety of the house is that this is a lilac fragrance. Lilac is a floral that is so underutilized in perfumery because it's not one that you can extract the scent from, so they have to construct it. So it's a little bit tricky, but this does lilac so right. I have a lot of great memories associated from childhood with big blooming lilac bushes that were near my elementary school, so this just makes me feel really happy. What's unique about this one is sometimes lilac can come off a bit powdery, but in this, it comes off creamy and almost a little bit sweet. I thought that there was a little bit of vanilla in this, but there isn't. And I think that little bit of creaminess is coming from some jasmine, but at no point does it feel heavy or indolic or suffocating. This is a beautiful, clean, sheer floral fragrance that just smells so pretty. It's effortless and chic, but very, very pretty. And in the dry down, you get the most beautiful white musk. It's going to work for a ton of different occasions. You could wear this daytime, nighttime, any season, it doesn't matter. This is beautiful. I don't think I've spoke the praises of this fragrance enough, but it is truly a work of art. Next up, we have Vert Désir by Veronique Gabai. Traditionally, I have not really been a fan over the years of green fragrances, particularly green fragrances that have almost a grassy sort of quality to it. Although that's a scent I love to smell in nature, it's not something that I typically would like to wear on myself, but this is a green fragrance that I can get behind because this is a mint fragrance. And although traditionally mint is a note that would scare me a little bit because sometimes it can come off smelling like toothpaste, this is very different. This smells as if you were muddling fresh mint leaves straight from the garden. It's aromatic and fresh. It comes off a little bit spicy, but then there is something very aquatic to kind of tamper it down a little bit, being very refreshing and very chic. And once again, one of those fragrances that you can wear in any season, any occasion, and it's going to be very uplifting, but this doesn't rely on florals. So if the last one is not really your jam because of the floral component, this one is going to be more fresh, green, aromatic, and very uplifting and invigorating. Something that would give you good energy. So if you like mint, but you don't want it to smell like toothpaste, and you want something that smells natural and watery, I would go with Vert Désir. And next up, we have Murmure by Plume Impression. Now, I have talked about my love of fig fragrances on this channel many times, and this is another note that although it can come off green, fig is a very multifaceted note. You can have a leafy greenness, but you can also have a woody bark component, and you can also have a creamy fruit. So it has a lot of layers to it. And when this opens up, it has the note of Divana and cypress, so you are definitely getting something that is very crisp and green, but doesn't smell like fresh cut grass. But then you start to get a little bit of that figgy sweetness of the actual pulp of the fig itself. Overall, I would describe this as more of a woody fragrance because it has a very strong sandalwood in the base. And sometimes sandalwood can come off very milky and creamy, but in contrast, this is a very dry, almost herbal smelling sandalwood. That dryness is amplified by some cedar, and there is just a slight bit of an almost, once again, vanillic warmth coming from some tonka bean that gives it that really warm and beautiful characteristic. So although this starts off green, you get a little bit of that figgy sweetness, but ultimately this dries down to a dry, woody fragrance. So if you're looking for something that's not floral, you're not looking for something that's aromatic, this one is going to be a really good woody alternative that is going to feel very chic. Next up is Casa Blanca by House of Beau. Now this fragrance has absolutely stolen my heart. This is a very unique fragrance, piggybacking off the last one. This also has a fig, but in contrast, this is not going to come off green whatsoever. This is the definition of understated posh. This just has an elegance and a radiance without saying too much. This is the definition of Parisian chic right here. Now, when this opens up, you get a white tea that is very refreshing, but it's coupled with a mineral note that almost comes off like white clay. You know when you do pottery and you have the white clay on your hand and it has that mineral sort of feel to it? That's what you get in the beginning. But then this warms up on the skin and starts to get very ambery. So you have a copal, but you also have a suede that is velvety soft and not very animalic. And then in the deep dry down, you have just a touch of sweetness coming from some bourbon vanilla, and you have a tobacco. And when combined with the fig note, it's almost like a roasted fig. So you have a mineral-esque white tea that dries into something a little bit more warm and velvety, almost skin-like, and then dries down to have just a touch of sweetness and woodiness. So if you were looking for a really good sheer amber that will be mutable to a bunch of different situations, this one is so posh and so elegant. And next up, we have Via Primerose by Atelier Désir. Now this is a newer fragrance to their house, but I actually got to try this early back in March when I went to Milan to go to the Fragrance Expo. I kept my mouth shut about this one, but this is a stunning musky fragrance. So for my musk lovers, this one is for you. So when this opens up, it has a little kick of spiciness coming from some pink pepper and a very subtle amount of cardamom. But that spiciness quickly subsides in the first 15 minutes, unveiling a beautiful, musky, slightly floral ambrette. Ambrette to me has almost a sweet, nutty, powdery quality with a little bit of a floral nuance. And the florals are amped up just a little bit violet with a very sheer, almost rose water and a very delicate iris. Now, sometimes iris can come off very cosmetic and very powdery, but in this, it's a gentle little whisper, a little bit spicy in the beginning that unveils a very, very prominent ambrette with some floral nuances to back it up, but they don't overpower. And then in the base, you have a musk that's going to help reinforce that ambrette and just a little bit of leather. Now, if you're not a fan of leather, it is not prominent, but it just helps to add a little bit of depth and a little bit of a skin-like quality. So this overall is a musky ambrette fragrance with a little bit of florals to back it up, some spiciness in the beginning, but dries down to have a beautiful skin-like warmth to it. Now, this next one is going to seem similar when you see the notes, but whereas Via Primrose has that beautiful sheer rose water, this one is going to take it more into the warm orange blossom territory. And this one is Saint Honore by BDK. This one similarly opens up with a pink pepper and an iris, but the iris in the last one was a little bit more of a subtle whisper. This one is a bit more prominent, giving it that truly fluffy sort of feel. And the pink pepper in this one is much more subtle. I prefer because I'm not a big fan of pink pepper. This has a creamy, non-bitter orange blossom. Sometimes orange blossom can come off very sharp, slightly green, and very bitter. This is buttery smooth. And what's giving it almost that warm, toasty quality is that it's coupled with some tonka bean. What's similar about the last one is that this has a very, very musky dry down. So this is more of a warm musk, and the last one is more of a cool musk. This reminds me a little bit of a warm, more floral version of Another 13, which I adore so much. And because I mentioned creamy white florals, I want to push it even further into that category with Tuberoza X by Nishane. This is going to be for those of you who are truly white floral lovers, because this is a tuberose bomb. Now, this is definitely not indolic or too heavy or outdated smelling, but it has a little bit of a vintage edge to it. Along with the very natural smelling tuberose, you also have a violet and a note of lipstick that gives it a waxy cosmetic touch. But this dries down on the skin so warm and velvety because it has the note of amber. So this is a full-bodied white floral fragrance with a little bit of a vintage edge to it, with a warmth and a fluff to it. Does that make sense? And I have this dinky little bottle. I'm savoring this one for the time being because it's very strong. You do not need a lot of it. Now, who would I be if I did not include a vanilla fragrance in this video? But I had to choose very wisely because a lot of vanillas can come off overly gourmand and don't have that Parisian chic vibe that we're looking for. So for that, I chose Mercurial Cashmere by Electimuss. Now, this is also a full-bodied tuberose fragrance. So it's going to start off a little bit spicy with cardamom and pink pepper, and then blossom into a true white floral creamy sort of experience. But unlike the last one that's going to have that powdery lipstick vintage edge, this is going to go into the powdery sweet caramel and vanilla direction. But the sweetness that you're getting from the vanilla, the caramel, the tonka bean is tampered down and made very safe with some cashmere wood. In order for a vanilla fragrance to tick the box of Parisian chic, it still has to have a lot of nuance and a lot of depth, and this definitely has it. So even if you're not a fan of vanilla fragrances, this is a perfectly executed 10 out of 10 fragrance. I'm trying to cover all the bases in this video, so we've got floral, we've got musky, we've got green. Now I want to add in a citrus fragrance. Now, citrus is another note that I had to put a lot of consideration into because for some people, a lot of citrus fragrances can come off smelling like bathroom cleaner. So I wanted to choose a citrus fragrance that has a lot of character to it. So for that, I'm choosing The Forward by Mind Games. This one is a very multifaceted and very refined smelling citrus. In the beginning, you are going to be met with a tangy, juicy blast of lemon, pomelo, and mandarin orange. And there's a bit of a floral kick coming from some jasmine that's super well blended. But then you get a little peep of sweetness coming from some salted vanilla. The way that this salted vanilla mixes in with the citruses is absolutely incredible. It feels very refreshing, very uplifting, but perfectly balanced between tangy, salty, and sweet. But then in the dry down, you get the most velvety, creamy, almost milky sandalwood. So if you like a citrus, but you want something that has a bit of salty sweetness with a creamy, milky, woody dry down, the Forward by Mind Games. So impressed by this one. And now I want to offer up something that's going to be in the more unisex category, but you'll have to forgive me. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this. This is from Aesop, and I'll have the name on the bottom of the screen. If someone can tell me how to pronounce this, I would very much appreciate it. This one is woody and spicy and aromatic and uplifting while simultaneously being warming and grounding. You've got thyme and cypress that is going to give it that bright, almost pine tree needle sort of feel. And then in comes a very spicy woodiness. But then in the base, you're getting a vetiver, an oak moss, and a resin that's going to make it feel like you are deep in the forest. So if you want something that smells very in tune with nature, it smells like you're in a forest after high noon where the ground is hot, maybe a little bit damp, and a little bit spicy, I think you would love this one, but please tell me how to pronounce it. And lastly, we're gonna finish up today's video with a fruity fragrance. Fruity is another category that I had to put a lot of thought into because a lot of them can come off overly sweet and don't have that posh vibe that we're looking for. But I think I found one that fits the video very well, and that is One Umbrella for Two. Now this opens up with black currant, but to me, it smells like baked blueberries. Then you have the combination of tea and rice. So it's giving it a little bit of a green facet, but almost more like a dried tea. And the rice gives it this beautiful, slight starchiness. And then in the deep dry down, it goes musky, but also very woody with some cedar. This is tangy and sweet and delicious, but is nicely balanced with some earthy notes, so that way it doesn't go too overboard. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about some chic yet understated fragrances in today's video. And once again, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Lily Silk, and encourage those of you who are looking for some really good, high quality staples to add to your wardrobe to check out Lily Silk, and that I'll have all of the information in the box down below. And don't forget, I'm going to be sneaking a little discount code in there, so make sure you check that out. So I'll be seeing you all next Saturday, 10 a.m. PST. Be there or be square, and until then, take care of yourselves, my friends.